May I come in, sir?
Please come.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Good
Please sit.
evening, sir. Thank you, sir.
Garima.
Yes, sir.
Right. You have done commerce and accountancy.
Yes, sir.
Commerce and accountancy, I'm not sure whether the subjects are related, but would you know anything about the size of the parallel economy? Black money, as they call it. Would you have any idea?
Sir, I'm not exactly sure about the size of the parallel economy.
How would you measure it?
Sir,
Do you have any estimate of this? What is the size of the black economy or parallel economy?
So I do not have an estimate, but if we were to measure the size of the parallel economy, I think the soil rate of notes, currency note is one method that is used.
How does that work? Tell.
Sir, the soil rate is the normal rate at which any currency note should be replaced by the RBI depending on its repeated uses.
All right.
However, it was found even during the demonetization that the soil rate of the currency note of 500 and 1000 was very low as compared to what it should have ideally been. And this reflects that those notes are not being used for the purpose of transactions and deposit in the bank, etc., which is to say that it is being stored in the form of black money in certain households. So this is how soil rate can be a beneficial marker in identifying it.
Interesting concept. All right. So how do we control black money?
Sir, a lot of steps have already been taken in order to control black money. One of them being the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Apart from this, the government is trying to increase incentive for the purpose of digital transaction. For example, in the Finance Act of 2017, it was said that no cash transaction should be conducted above the value of 2 lakh rupees.
And who objected to that? Since you have raised it, who objected to it?
Sir, I'm not sure about it. I'm sorry, sir.
Okay, all right. You're not sure about that. All right. What else?
So apart from this, tax is deducted at source if you make any payment above a certain threshold in different sectors. So these are all the methods through which we are trying.
And how effective have they been?
So they have certainly been very effective. The digital transactions in the economy has been increasing, and the tax collection, direct tax as well as indirect tax, has also increased over the years.
Yes, TDS has gone up.
Yes, sir.
All right. What is the percentage of TDS to total taxes?
I'm sorry, sir, I'm not exactly aware.
What is the percentage of direct and indirect taxes to the total tax collections of the central government?
Sir, it is roughly around 55%.
That high?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's the difference between a direct and an indirect tax, and a cess and a tax? 2 questions.
Sir, regarding the first question, the difference between the direct and the indirect tax. Direct tax is levied on the income that is earned by an individual and a corporate as well. So this is progressive in nature, which is to say that as your income increases. And the other one is a regressive tax in nature, which is to say that even if the same commodity is being bought by a high net worth individual or, for example, a common man, the burden of tax will be felt by the same. So the incidence and the impact are on 2 different persons in indirect tax. However, it is the same in case of direct tax.
Okay.
So,
and the second question was about cess versus tax.
Yes,
That's
sir.
my last question to you.
So tax is levied on the income. It is the first instance of levying collection on any income that is earned. However, cess is an amount that is levied on the tax itself, and it is usually collected for a specific purpose that does not go into the central pool of devolution, which is.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Board will interact with you.
Garima, you worked with some UN forum, or you spoke at some UN forum.
Yes.
Is the United Nations now irrelevant, you think?
Sir, I would not say that United Nations has become completely irrelevant. There are certain roles that it still performs very effectively, and it's multiple bodies. However, sir, I believe to reflect the present geopolitical reality, the United Nations needs to be reformed.
Do you think in the next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, India can become a permanent member of the UN Security Council?
Yes, sir, I certainly believe so.
Why?
There is a strong case for India to
The
become.
case is there,
Yes, sir.
but you are the foreign secretary.
Yes,
The Prime Minister asked whether we will become a member. You have to give a more definite reply.
Yes, sir.
Will you say yes?
Yes, sir.
Why? What is stopping us from becoming a a permanent member of the UN Security Council?
So there are reservations by the P5 members themselves who do not want India to be
Who is
in.
the main person standing in, country standing in the way?
So China.
Do you think in 20 years it will change its vote? On what basis do you say that?
Sir, I believe there are a lot of other groupings being formed to advocate India's case in UNSC, for example, through the G4. And
No, I am asking about China. You think China will change its position in the next 2 decades?
sir, probably China can, because China is already facing a lot of troubles with other nations, for example, with the US, and its priorities might change. For example,
What is, in your view, China's long-term objective? In your view, what is China's long-term objective, geopolitical objective?
Sir, I believe in the long term, China wants to be the unipolar power in Asia. It wants to dominate
So
Asia.
you are contradicting yourself. Unipolar power in Asia. In Asia, only China has the veto. Would it let India have a veto or Japan have a veto? You are contradicting yourself.
Yes, sir. Sir, I believe.
Okay, think about it.
Yes, sir.
What is friendshoring? This term was recently used by somebody.
Yes, sir. So, friendshoring is a concept in international relations which says that given the geopolitical tensions, countries are trying to improve their relation in terms of protecting their core interest with some particular friendly nations.
But it is in some other context. Which other related term comes to your mind when I say friendshoring?
So,
Something else comes to your mind?
nearshoring,
No, offshoring.
offshore.
Now say something. It is related to offshoring. Okay, you think about it
Yes,
more.
I will.
Now, okay, one more. In 75 years of independent India, 2 instances where India's foreign policy, international relations have been successful, and 2 where they have really not been successful. They have failed, in fact. Think for a moment and
Yes.
let's plan. 75, not processes, actual things which happened, events, something major.
Sir, with regard to being in the India's policy being successful, I think the 1971 liberation
Excellent.
war.
Second,
So the second, sir, India's role, which was played during the Cold War, in
not processes, something which actually happened. There was an outcome, there was a result.
sir, protection of Bhutan in case of Doklam standoff is also.
Not at that level.
Yes, sir. Sir, I'll have to think more of it.
2 failures.
2 failures, sir. One, I believe, its engagement in the Sri Lankan civil war.
Good. And second? Very humiliating for us. We all still are sorry about that.
Yes,
This
sir.
62 war.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
What is the geopolitical significance of Turkey? Geopolitical. Geo.
Sir, Turkey stands at a very crucial geographic location at the Bosphorus Strait, which is responsible for our energy security. That is the geological significance.
What has been its stand with, what have been the relations between India and Turkey in the last 2-3 years?
Sir, Turkey in the last 2-3 years has been very vocal with regard to Pakistan's interest. It has flagged India's human rights violation in the Jammu and Kashmir, and it is also.
Then why did we send all that assistance and aid to Turkey when that earthquake happened? Let them stew in their own juice.
Sir, India is a country that believes in the policy of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam.
We didn't send to Pakistan when there were floods. Did we?
So
2 years back? Right there next to us? So this is not Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, it's something else. Think.
Sir, Turkey has been recently moderating its stance towards India.
Well, it has not been moderating, but that was the expectation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Garima, you're a student of commerce.
Yes, sir.
which part of the constitution